What's going on, everyone? This is Damien from Lore Seekers, and today I am here with an ultimate denial deck, Emerald Ruby Resource Denial deck. Yes, we were off for a while, but we are now back to our regular schedule, and for the first video I wanted to show you this crazy concoction that I've made in the lab. So yeah, without any further prolonging, let's just jump into it. Roll the video. As with all of our videos, let's start with a breakdown. So I'm gonna give you a deck breakdown. I'll explain the game plan. We'll talk a bit about synergies and lines of play. I'll show you my deck list, and then we'll just wrap it up with a summary. Let's go. Let's start with the game plan. So what are we doing today? We're building a resource denial deck. So what we're doing is we're mixing hand destruction elements with lore drain for extra layer of control. We're just denying everything. Cards in hand, lore, characters on the field, everything. So the idea is to deny just as much as you can to get such an astronomical advantage over your opponent in all aspects that they just concede or just steamroll to 20 lore. The deck list is casual. It's not a competitive deck. It's a casual deck list, and it still needs work, but use it as a blueprint. We can divide the deck into two key aspects. Hand destruction, my favorite thing in the world, and the lore drain. That's why we're not going emerald steel, which would usually be the sort of a color combination, but instead we're going to rely on ruby's cards, which technically drain lore, so opponent loses and we gain. Let's start with hand destruction. So the first aspect of control is just taking away hands. We are running Prince John's Mirror to cut the cards in hand down to 3, Cursed Merfolk because they just more hand destruction, Sudden Chill because hand destruction. So these are our tools for taking away cards, and we run Prince John as our payoff because whenever our opponent discards one or more cards, we draw for each card discarded, and that helps us filter through our deck faster while we are keeping our opponent's hand in check. Less cards in hand means harder to stop us. Second aspect of control is a lore drain. So we took away cards in hand, now let's take away their lore as well. We're running Donald Duck. When you play this character, if you use shift, each opponent loses 2 lore, so just passively take away 2, shift for 4, and while opponent has 10 or more lore, he becomes huge. He gains +6 strength, he's a 9/6. So yeah, big boy. Then we have Aladdin. During your turn, when this character banishes another character in a challenge, you gain 2 lore, opponent loses 2, so we're just keeping them in check. And then we have the sword released as our item, because at the start of the turn, if you have a character in play with more strength than each opposing character in play, and our opponent shouldn't have too many big characters because we're just playing our aggressive pieces to remove them, each opponent loses 1 lore and you gain 1 lore basically. So it's just a way to, once let's say you remove something with Aladdin and they don't put anything down in that's exerted, but you still have your big guy here, it's a still way to gain lore passively, just to drain them passively until there's something exerted that you can swing into again. So if our opponent plays a character, we remove it and it causes them to lose lore. Last but not the least, let's talk about some utility cards. So that's the last control aspect, tech choices. Now, you're familiar with most of these, however there is one that might be a bit of a head scratcher, but I like it. It's expensive, it's really expensive, but I like it. It's expensive in the terms that you pay for it. Basically, it's Ursula's Garden. While you have an exerted character here, opposing characters get -1 lore. So the idea is once you drain your opponent out of lore, once you get into this high lore advantage and you're already taking away their hand, they can't even use their characters which quest for 1 to even try to catch up to you. As long as you have something exerted here and they have a character with like 1 lore, 2 lore, they can't catch up to you. And even if they swing or quest to try to do so, then you can just play one of your red cards, swing into them again, and just drain them from the lore. Once you get this established, it's almost impossible for them to keep gaining lore. Plus, the location gives you lore passively. So you have location, you have the sword in stone, you have your ruby characters that gain lore when you banish something, and you just basically lock your opponent. You have Clarabelle just to banish an item. You're welcome for the same reason, or a location or something. You can banish one of your own things if you just need to draw. And you have Ursula just to remove songs. So we're adding a lot of removal denial options to slow down our opponent's game plan or remove any key items / locations / songs. Here is the deck list. So complete denial, that's what we're calling it. So because you either deny your opponent everything, or you're just kind of sitting there in denial that you're gonna do that, so it's kind of fitting. Anyway, as I've said, use it as a blueprint. It's not a perfectly optimized version, but we run Diablo here for some more card draw, a morph, because we just want another card that we can shift onto in case that we don't see our Donald Duck or Aladdin on time. Flynn Rider. I think Flynn Rider is good because Donald can be really, really big. Aladdin is relatively big, so as long as we have those out, Flynn is okay. He can get us some lore just passively. Plus, we will be removing most of the things, so we will be getting his effect. Other than that, you have your Aladdin and Donald, which is drain lore. We have 3 copies of the monogreen Flynn Rider. It's a cute card. Ursula, Deceiver of All, so that we can sing Silent Chill twice and just remove 2 cards from hand. And then basically I just went with 1 steal from the rich. I saw some lists similar, which with a similar idea, but they run multiple copies. I don't think that's too feasible, because for paying 5 and for it being uninkable, you would need a lot more characters on the field than like 3. If you have 3, it's not that good if you have 3, I think. So, and then we have the songs and the Ursula's Garden. You can find this graphic on our Instagram or on our Facebook page. That's it for the video. Let me know in the comments below, will you give this deck a go? Have you tried a similar idea before? Do you think that this sort of a denial deck could work? Or am I just in complete denial and I'm just like huffing opium and I think it's gonna be good? Anyway, let me know in the comments. I read all of your comments. I try to respond to everything. I love our little community. And while you're here, please share the video around. It helps other players. It inspires other players to try out these new strategies. And if you like this video, hit those like and subscribe buttons. Help us get to 500 subs. We're relatively close, and then we're gonna have a giveaway. This has been Damien from Lore Seekers, and I'll see all of you in the next video.